Welcome back to the Aubergine Chef. Now today we're going to take it a little bit easy and we're just going to do something simple. We're going to do Belgian waffles. Now I don't have a Belgian waffle iron, and that kind of iron has those deep pockets and are usually round. Sometimes they come in large squares. I have a regular waffle iron, so it won't be as Belgian waffle looking, but this recipe is a Belgian waffle recipe, so if you have a Belgian waffle iron, use it. I just can't find a reason to buy more than one waffle iron and keep it in the house, you know what I mean? So eventually I do plan on getting a Belgian waffle iron and maybe donating my old waffle iron. But for now, we'll just use the waffle iron that I have, and I'll just give you the recipe, and then you can use it for your Belgian waffle iron. Okay, so one of the first things you want to do is you want to take 1 pound 8 ounces or 3 cups of whole milk and warm it up in the microwave to 110 degrees. Then you want to separate out 2 ounces and put that in a separate bowl, and another 2 ounces and put that in a smaller bowl. And in this smaller bowl, we have also a 1/4 ounce or 1 package of active dry yeast. Now the 110 degrees warm milk helps wake up the yeast that's lying dormant in the package. So it's very important that you have it at 110 degrees, between 100 and 110 degrees, and let it set for about 10 minutes while it starts to get foamy. Now in the wintertime, if your house is pretty cool, it'll take a little bit longer because your milk will cool down a little bit faster. But overall, the milk should be 110 degrees and it should take about 10 to 15 minutes. You also want to separate some eggs, and if you need to see that episode on how to separate eggs, I have a little short mini clip that you can click on over to. In the meantime, I also have, I have 3 egg yolks and 3 egg whites are in the mixer. Remember, when you separate your eggs, especially if you're going to make a meringue, which we're going to be doing, you want to make sure you wipe out your egg mixer with a little bit of vinegar to wipe down, clean it out, make sure there's no excess fat or anything, residue in it. You also want to make sure to separate them very cleanly, because any egg yolk in the egg whites can prevent the egg whites from whipping up and becoming full volume. I also have, over there I have a 1/2 cup or 4 ounces of granulated sugar, which we're going to be using to make the meringue. I also have 1/2 ounce or 1½ teaspoons of salt, and 2 teaspoons or a 1/4 ounce of vanilla extract. And I'm pretty sure it's everything up except for the flour, which I have 4 cups or 1 pound 6½ ounces. And that's all we really need for this recipe. So why don't we go ahead and go over to the mixer. We'll whip up our egg white meringue first. Okay, so the meringue that we're going to be making is called a cold meringue or a French meringue or a basic meringue. There's different words for it. Basically all we're doing is we're taking egg whites and then we're going to whip them up with the granulated sugar, with a little bit of granulated sugar. Now you want to make sure that you use either fresh egg whites or egg whites that have whipping aid added to it, because if you use pasteurized eggs or pasteurized egg whites, like they come in a carton, they might not whip up all that great. Just keep that in mind. Now, a lot of times bake shops do use pasteurized egg whites, but it has whipping aid in it, which is why they can use egg whites like that and they still whip up. So at home, take your egg whites. Remember, we have 3 egg whites here. Whip it up on like medium-high to high speed. Alright, and once the egg whites start getting frothy, go ahead and slowly add in your granulated sugar according to your recipe. For this one, we have 4 ounces or 1/2 cup. And let's continue to let it whip up until it reaches soft peaks. Okay, so to check if you have a soft peak meringue, just take your beater out of the egg whites and it should slightly curl over just like that, but it shouldn't be falling down and it shouldn't come off the mixer or the whip attachment. And that's pretty much how to make a cold meringue or a French meringue. Okay, and I forgot to mention that I have 3/4 cup or 7 ounces of butter. I melted it and I let it cool down to room temperature. Okay, so the next step is to take the 2 ounces of milk that you put in a larger bowl and whisk it with the egg yolks. And then whisk in the 7 ounces of melted butter. Okay, you also want to add in your vanilla extract. Remember, this is a 1/4 ounce. Then we'll whisk in our foamy yeast and milk. And then you want to add in the 1/2 ounce or 1½ teaspoons of salt. Okay, then you want to start adding in alternatively the flour. So we're going to add it like half at a time. and the milk, the remaining amount of milk. I switched to a larger bowl because I know this is going to rise and it's already making a lot of batter. Remember, this makes 8 large Belgian waffles, so this is probably going to make a ton of the smaller waffles that I have. But we're going to take our soft peak meringue and we're just going to fold it in. And this is going to add volume and it's also going to add a little bit of texture when we finish baking it. And when you fold, just fold in a little bit at a time. What you're doing is you're lightening the base mixture with the meringue, but you're also losing a lot of volume in the meringue. So by adding a little bit at a time, we're losing less and less volume each time because it becomes lighter and lighter, and it won't destroy as many air cells that we created in the meringue. Alright, cover the entire bowl tightly with plastic wrap, and then store it in a warm place for about an hour, or until it doubles in volume. Alright, so it's been about an hour, and as you can see, our Belgian waffle batter really puffed up, it definitely doubled in volume. Okay, so once your waffle iron heats up, make sure you spray it good. Make sure you spray it each time in between. And then depending on the size of your waffle iron, depends on how much you're going to need. I'm going to need about 1.5 cups. And then I'm going to cook it for about 5 to 7 minutes. Alright, let's take a look and see how they came out. Nice and crisp and dark looking, that's great. Batter didn't go all the way to the edges, but that's alright. And these will get a little bit crispier when they come off the iron, the waffle iron. And that's pretty much it to make Belgian waffles. Now, even though I didn't use a deep Belgian waffle iron that is associated with Belgian waffles, they still have a nice hearty flavor. They still get a nice crispness, and they taste great. Alright, so that's the basic Belgian waffle recipe. Now keep in mind, remember that if you use your Belgian waffle iron, yours are going to look much different than mine. They're going to have deeper pockets and they're going to puff up and get a little bit more crispy just because the surface area to yours will be, they'll be greater as opposed to mine, which are thicker, a little bit on the thicker side as opposed to being taller. Now if you want, you can keep these guys warm in the oven at 200 degrees or so, and that'll help keep them crisp. You don't want to really layer them on top of each other too much, because if you do them too high, the ones on the very, very bottom are going to get squished, and they're also going to get soggy. So feel free to stir them with any of the sauces, the breakfast sauces from the pancake episode, which was a blueberry confit, and the waffle episode, the basic waffle episode, which was a strawberry compote, I believe. Anyway, I hope you learned a lot today. Thanks for watching, and remember, the Aubergine chef demystifying dessert and sometimes some breakfast items, one recipe at a time.